logic. Okay, we're going to look at logic. And logic is basically saying that something is going to happen and there's going to be an equal reaction to something. What's going to happen? Well, if something happens, okay, we'll start with the infamous if in coding, and we'll say if something like an input happens. Notice these words keep popping up. These words don't come from a magical place. I'll show you after this video where I get these magical words and how I know what inputs are and get keys are. So for right now, if input, period, get key. Okay, so that's getting a key from the keyboard. And I have to state what kind of key is it. Well, I surround these by a parentheses and then a quote. So this is R on the keyboard. Close the parentheses out and close the input out. So now the input surrounded by a parentheses, and the input get key needs a command or a state, and it's going to be R. Alright, now here's where the light bulb goes on in your head. So file, save. Let's go back to Unity and hit play. Nothing happens until I hit R, and then now he raises his arm. That's where the magical light bulb clicked in my head as a programmer. 4 years of college computer programming with databases and everything else. Nothing really interests me in the fact that, you know, you're writing algorithms and you might be doing some scripting with like hiding characters and taking things from databases and adding numbers together, but nothing really popped in my brain until I started scripting with like 3D objects, because that's where it's really rewarding. If I hit a button, something happens. That's all I really wanted in life. Alright, now let's use some more logic. Next set of logic states that we need the other animation. Well, we use a new term called snarfing that I made up and I use all the time. Actually, my computer programming teacher way back when taught me snarfing. Snarfing is the taking of code and pasting it somewhere else, or taking the code off the internet and augmenting it or Frankensteining it to something that you need. So, if, guess what's going to happen? This is going to change, and this is going to change. Two simple things to change. So now we got R on the keyboard and T on the keyboard. Animation 1, animation 2. File, save, and let's go back into Unity and hit play. Nothing happens. T on the keyboard, plays. R on the keyboard, plays. Rapidly hit the two between. Notice, if you hit R and T, technically you can intervene where they never complete the animation. That's a really nice feature. It's tweening automatically for you. But we're going to look at a new thing called crossfade. Okay? So playing something, that can happen. Or we can play it this way. So if we don't want to play both, I can comment something out, and that's just putting these backslashes in there, and basically that's telling, don't look at this code. It can be there, but it's not going to use it. That's a really good way to, if you want to play around with code, to turn it off. Alright, let's look at another term. How about animation? Period. Crossfade. Now, what do I crossfade? Well, let's just do this, because I hate typing. Control C, Control V. So I'm going to crossfade wave 2. But I'm going to tell it to crossfade at a certain interval. So in this case, 0.2. So a really small number. Let's hit save. Let's hit play. And it takes a second, so there we go. Nothing happens. RT, RT. Notice it's a little longer between intervals and it's tweening a little bit nicer. But look how he's putting his hand down on your left-hand side very quickly. He can do that. But the other one kind of fades down. See how it works? The one on the right-hand side doesn't go down immediately. It fades down. Okay? It's slight. It's very slight. But in coding terms, that's really cool. So what can I do here? Well, I could comment this one out. And I can put this one here and change it to wave 1. And let's see what happens. Alright. TR, TR. Notice now that he never puts his arm down 100% very quickly. He nicely fades his arm down. Again, very slight change, but very important when it comes down to tweening between animations. Alright, so we now have this bit of code, and you've learned quite a bit here. And your light bulb is on in your head stating, well, what happens next? And that's where I give you an assignment so you will remember how to do this. So in the next video, please join me there.